Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear brother, such a young man, only 25 years old, but these are the things that he is already doing. So the message reads like this. Hello, my brother, how are you? So for many years that I have stayed here in South Africa, I came here when I was only 19. Then when I was around 20, that was when I sacrificed my own mother. We were helped by this other South African Sangoma who had helped my best friend. So the story that my best friend told me was that he was in love with this other young student who was staying close to the place where he was renting. So he went and spoke with this Sangoma, who then gave him some oil, and he was told that he was supposed to put that oil in his own lotion. So he then bought a bottle of body lotion and he mixed it with that oil, and he went and he spoke with that young student, and for free he slept with that very beautiful student. He said that he enjoyed sleeping with that young student until she had completed at the technical college where she was going to, and then he returned back to that Sangoma, and now he did not want love potions, but he wanted something that was better, something that was going to make women to come to him even when he was not chasing after those women. So that Sangoma said that, I know what you want and I am going to give it to you. So this Sangoma, when she is assisting you, what you have to do is that you have to have an oath with her, and you can only have this oath with this Sangoma by sleeping with her, so that spiritually you can be connected with her, since you would have slept with her at the time when you are having that consultation. So my friend told me that he went and he slept with that woman, and after that, then that woman took a rope and tied that rope around his waist, and she told him that the connection was now complete. So my friend was then given these charms that he was supposed to go and mix it with some of the food that he was supposed to send back home. And when his mother was going to take these groceries that he would have sent, and he sent these groceries using a truck that was going to Zim, when she accepted these groceries, my friend said that when he accepted one of the Changani bags, that was when the mother started to complain of a severe headache, for she had been struck by a tokoloshi. This tokoloshi that was hiding in that Changani bag punched her the moment that she opened up the Changani bag that was full of the groceries that he had sent here in South Africa. But she did not know that she had been punched by a tokoloshi. She just started complaining of a severe headache, and after that he passed away. When his mother passed away, he traveled to Zim, for he had some rituals that he was supposed to do on his mother's grave. And from there on, he told me that he came back and he started to enjoy life. And when I had suffered a lot whilst I was still back home in Zim, I then came across my friend. This was on Facebook, and we started to talk, because this guy, he used to work in the village where I grew up in. And I just knew that this guy, he used to head the cattle and the goats for this other old man. That man, he had since died. So I was shocked when I saw that this man, he had made it here in South Africa. So I just sent him a friend request, and I thought that he was not going to accept my friend request because of the kind of a life that he was living. But to my surprise, the man then accepted my friend request, and he was like, hi, you are still alive. I have been looking for you. Where have you been hiding? And I told him that life was really hard here in Zim, and I just managed to buy a phone. That phone, Brother Nashi, you could only operate it whilst you had plugged it on the charger. If you just remove the charger, then it will just die down. So we spoke a lot, me and this guy. He then gave me his number, and he said that even if it means that you're going to find someone that has WhatsApp, please make sure that you communicate with me. So I then spoke with one of my sisters, and after I had spoken with her, she then said, it is fine, you can speak with your friend on my WhatsApp. So that is what I will do. I would speak with my friend on WhatsApp. He then told me that he wanted me to come here to South Africa, and I was really scared because I had heard a lot of stories about South Africa. Even coming to South Africa, I had heard a lot of people that had been robbed on their way coming to South Africa, but he said that he was going to make sure that I was going to be okay. So I came here to South Africa using this other bus, and indeed I really had a nice journey coming to South Africa. I came and I started staying with him, but this man, from the very first day that I started to stay with him, he did not even hide it from me that he was a ritualist. He did not hide it that he was a ritualist. I remember that we went to this other club and we picked 2 South African women, and we then returned with them at his apartment. When we were in his apartment, this man, he was a little bit drunk. He then took me to this other room and he told me that that is the room where his mother stays. And I was like, what do you mean when you say that this is the room that your mother stays? And when he opened up that room, I saw that there was a coffin, a very big coffin, an extra sized coffin. And he told me that in that coffin, what he does is that when he would have brought over a lady into his house, after making love to that house, this woman, it will be like she will go into a coma, and he would lift the body of that woman and he would go and place that woman into that coffin. Throughout the night, she has to sleep in that coffin. I thought that maybe this man, he had gone crazy, but he said, follow me, watch and learn. We then walked back into the living room where those girls were having fun. We sat down and we told them to dance for us, and they stripped for us whilst we were just having a nice time. So my friend and his girlfriend, they started making love, and he gave me that other girl, and this was like the first time to make love, and I enjoyed every second of it. After I was done, I saw that the woman that he was with, just collapsed, and he just laid her on the floor. And he then came to the woman that I had just made love to. I don't know what he actually did, but this woman, she just started to get weak, and she was like, water, I need some water, I'm feeling so thirsty. Then fell to the ground in slow motion, and she just collapsed. She told me that we were supposed to pick them up, and we were supposed to go and leave them in that room. So he was so used to this thing. He picked up that young girl that he had, and I picked my own, and I struggled as we made our way to that room. And when we were in that room, he then said that I had to leave him so that he can perform the rituals alone. I then went out of that room and I waited for him by the door for about 35 to 40 minutes when he was busy performing the rituals, because what he said was that after placing the girl in the coffin, he had like to play with his thingy to masturbate until then the semen would have came out. Then he would spread the semen around the coffin as well as on top of that woman that he would have placed in that coffin. So that is what he did. After that, we then returned back to the living room and we waited for the morning to come. This man, he does not sleep. He only sleeps in his apartment when he has a girlfriend. If he does not have a woman to use for these rituals on that night, he has to drive. He drives, my brother. He can even plan a journey, maybe to go to another province, even though he does not want to go and see anyone, because he is only allowed to sleep during the day. At night, he is not allowed to sleep. So this man and I, we started to talk throughout the night until I fell asleep. But since he was used to all of these things, he just was drinking his beer, watching TV. Early in the morning at around 3 a.m., he then woke me up and he told me that we needed to go and take those women that we had left in that room. We then went and we took those women and we just made them to lie on his bed. So when they woke up, they didn't even know that they had been used for these rituals. I was so interested because he showed me a bag of money, a bag that was full of money. And he said that, you see, those women, they are so nice. You can have them. You can even have women that are much more nicer than these women. If you want, I can show you the woman who assisted me. And he told me the story that I told you. So then I was taken to that Sangoma and I slept with that Sangoma and we did the rituals. In my own case, it was impossible for me to kill my mom in the spirit, because my mom, she was a deacon at that time when she passed away. So she used to pray a lot and fast a lot. So that Sangoma said that unfortunately she was unable to locate my mother's spirit in the spiritual realm. So I needed to go to my mom, and I had to steal some of her personal items, and I had to return with them back to South Africa. So after my friend had given me money, I bought my mom a lot of stuff. Then I returned back home. And when I returned back home with everything that I had bought for my mom, and she was like, "My son, I have seen that indeed you are a responsible son," because I had even gone to this other shop called Ackermans, where I had bought some ladies' undies for my own mom. So when I returned back home, when she was opening all the nice stuff that I had bought for her in South Africa, she started to cry, and she said, "My son, oh my son." And I knew that my mom, she had suffered a lot in her life. And on that day, she said that I have worn some underwears for more than 6 years. And I knew that this was the truth. And she was laughing. She spoke with my sister, and she said that it was time for her to throw some of her old underwears. And indeed, when she went to her bedroom, she took some of them, and she said that she was going to burn them. And I said, you will burn them later on. You guys, I want to take you to town. So I then started bathing, as well as my mom and my sister. They started bathing. And at the last minute, that was when I called my mom, and I said, unfortunately, my friend in South Africa has told me to finish up this other project, and I had this other laptop. So I was just busy pressing, and they didn't even know what I was doing on that laptop. So I went and I sat underneath this tree, and I said, there is a project that I am supposed to finish. So you guys, I'm going to give you some money. My sister was like, how much are you going to give us? I then took out a bag that was full of money, and I gave my sister 6,000 rands, and I said, you guys just go and spoil yourself and buy whatever that you want. The reason as to why I did not want to go with them to town, it was because I wanted to steal my mother's underwears, the one that she had thrown into the dustbin, saying that she wanted to burn them. So when my mom and my sister left, I then immediately got up from where I was sitting. I went and I looked through the dustbin, and I took 2 of my mom's old dirty underwears, and I returned with them back to South Africa. When I returned with them, that Sangoma told me that I was supposed to spend at least some few days wearing my mom's dirty underwears, and after that I was supposed to return back. Mind you, when I was wearing these underwears that once belonged to my mom, when I would go to the toilet, I was not supposed to wipe myself after doing some poo. So she wanted them to be like smelly, and by the time that I removed these underwears, they were so smelly. And at that time, like, my pubic hair had grown so much, like underneath the testicles. When your pubic hair has grown so much, it becomes so smelly. And that is what she said she wanted. And she was the one who trimmed off that pubic hair, and she mixed the pubic hair with my mom's old undergarments, and she said that she was going to use them for the rituals to locate my mother's spirit. And indeed, she located my mother's spirit, and I was then given a needle, and I was supposed to stab, and I stabbed my mom on the heart with that needle, and my mom, she passed away. When my mom passed away, I was given When my mom passed away, I was given an instruction to go back home. I went back to Zim, but I had this other knife that I was supposed to go and place on top. When my mom passed away, I was then given this instruction. I had been given this knife. So this knife, what I was supposed to do was that I had to buy this other big clay pot. In our language, we call it gate. So I went and I bought that big clay pot, and then I placed that knife, and then I went and I placed that big clay pot with the knife inside on top of my mother's grave. This big clay pot, it disappeared when we woke up the very next morning, because as per our Shona culture, after burying your loved one, then the next morning you go and you just check if the grave is okay. if no one would have tampered. I thought that we were going to find that big clay pot that I had placed on top of that grave, but to my surprise, I saw that the pot was no longer there, and indeed I saw that the Sangoma, she was a very powerful one. When I returned back to South Africa, I found out that clay pot, it was here in South Africa at that Sangoma's house. She then gave me my items and she told me that now I can make my own money. So I started making money until last year. Last year I came across this very beautiful woman. So when I came across this woman, she's one of those boring people that goes to this other church that is called the Jehovah's Witness. So I was just walking in town because I wanted to change the tires on one of my cars. So whilst they were busy with my car, I said, let me just take a stroll since I don't do a lot of activities. When I was walking, I saw that there were some Jehovah's Witnesses that were on the other side of the street, and it was already too late because they had seen me and they started walking towards the place that I was. I just wanted to avoid them. Anyway, it was impossible. They came and they started to speak with me. It was the mother and the daughter and these other elderly women. They started to tell me a lot about their religion because of her beauty. I just said, let me just listen to her. So I then told them where I was staying after they had given me their magazines, and they kept on coming and coming to my place before I had moved out. So I then managed to get the contacts of that young woman. When I took her for a sleepover, when she came to my place, we really had a nice time and I made her to sing. I had rushed back to that Sangoma because I wanted her, even though she wanted me to come to her church first before we could have done anything, even though she was in love with me, but she said that she could not date me because we were not going to the same church. I rushed back to that Sangoma who gave me some herbs, and then I took her out one day for a date, and as we were having our date, I kept on looking at her because I had this other oil that I had been given. So what I will do is that underneath the table, I would open this small bottle, then I will just dip my finger into that oil, then I will just wipe my face. The more that I wiped my face, the more that she kept on looking at me, and I knew that she was feeling hot for me, too hot for me. I took her to my place, but she is the only woman who has ever seen the ghost of my mom, because when I took her after we had made love, I waited for her to fall asleep. When I thought that she had fallen asleep, I saw that she was still wide awake. So I said, let me just sleep, for tonight I have felt. I only heard her screaming, and she was just standing right next to the door, which was locked, and she just wanted to run away. I asked her, what have you seen? And she said that I saw a woman who said that she is your mother. What did you do to your mother? Please let me go, or I'm going to call the police. So I then just let her go, and I did a bolt for her. This was somewhere around 12 a.m. when I made the bolt for her, and she went back to her house. This is my own story, my brother. So I am scared because I did not see my mother's ghost, and I don't know if one day I am going to see the ghost of my mother. But as for now, I can say life is really good when you have a powerful Sangoma by your side. If you have that type of a connection with your own Sangoma, our dear mama. Strange things do happen in this world. Dear listeners, right there was a translation of that message that was sent to me by our dear brother. At such a young age, these are the things that he has done.